To secure actual control of the company, I took my stepsister's place and married Adrian, CEO of Hawthorne. On our wedding day he told me, coolly, that if I ever wanted a divorce I had only to ask. 6 months later Adrian's white moonlight returned from Europe, and I had the firm firmly steadied, so I laid the divorce papers before him. The refined man stared out the window, his tone flat. It's overcast today, I'm in a foul mood. Let's wait for a sunnier day to divorce. That night, after a board meeting at headquarters, I got word my stepsister had landed. The moment I stepped into the Vance estate, laughter was spilling from the living room. Bella, you grow prettier every year. My stepsister sat ringed by elders, all dimples and wide eyes, docile as a ragdoll kitten. Our Bella and the Hawthorne boy were such a match, what a shame. Honestly, Bella, you were too wild. If you hadn't bolted, you'd be Mrs. Hawthorne now, your sister never would have had the chance. Bella waved her hands in haste. Adrian is already married to my sister, jokes like that are best left unsaid. The chorus only shrugged. So what? Facts are facts. Married or not, there's always divorce. If the Hawthornes agree, swapping brides is no big deal. Every last one of them belonged to father's side of the family. They disliked me, bordered on loathing, because I am the spitting image of my late mother. A tragic woman who had poured every dime her parents left her into resurrecting a fortune for a gold-digging husband, only to be betrayed, driven into depression, and found dead in a snowdrift. I gave a cold laugh, clapped slowly, and walked in. I stopped in front of them, spine straight, gaze sweeping the room, voice dripping scorn. Evidently Vance's year-end dividends left you glutted and idle, with nothing better to do than coach my little sister to steal her brother-in-law? Still, it's no trouble. If she wants him, I can divorce Adrian. I sank onto the sofa, eyes settling on Bella's innocent doe gaze, and curled my lip. Or you could toddle off to Adrian and coo until he files against me himself. Then you could slide right into my spot. That shouldn't be hard for you, I added, arching a brow, considering how practiced your mother is. Bella's pretty face drained of color, the rims of her eyes flushed crimson, heart-rendingly fragile. Shameless wretch, father's roar cracked behind me. I rose calmly and collided with a pair of dark eyes. Tilting my head, I frowned. Why was Adrian here? Father summoned me alone to the study. The second the door shut he swung at me. I stepped back, face icy. My dodge enraged him. He barked that I kneel. Father, if there's no real business, I'll take my leave. His grip on the group had thinned these past 6 months. He could barely rein me in anymore. When I turned to go he barked again. Who authorized you to seek a divorce? Can you bear the fallout if you enrage the Hawthornes? I lowered my gaze, neither servile nor defiant. We still have Bella. She and Adrian are smitten, I'm merely playing Cupid. They ought to thank me. Quinn. Edward cut me off, livid. Bella is a true Vance daughter, she doesn't settle for leftovers. Leftovers? Me? I couldn't help laughing. When you ordered me to marry into Hawthorne in Bella's place, did it never occur to you that I, too, am a Vance daughter, your daughter? Or after you hounded my mother to her death, did I stop being your child altogether in your eyes? Serena. Your mother died of illness. How dare you slander your father? He was shaking, both palms braced on the desk, gasping. His health had been sliding for months. The imperious man I once feared now looked ancient and spent. He slumped into his chair, finger stabbing the air at me. Remember, the Vance Group is not yet yours. If you file for divorce, you'll inherit none of my equity. Think carefully. You're here tonight for one reason. Bella starts her internship next week. As her big sister, keep an eye on her, no more gallivanting. I sneered inwardly, same old Edward, waving the inheritance flag whenever he lost leverage. In his heart, he would never hand Vance to me if there were a single alternative. I left the study and waylaid a passing maid. Where's Adrian? She hesitated, then murmured that they had been called to the rooftop garden on the 3rd floor by the second miss. I glanced upward. Fine, saved me the breath of bringing up divorce myself. I didn't wait for Adrian, I drove off alone. Passing a corner store I meant to grab only a soda, but 2 girls ahead of me were giggling over DIY cocktails. I listened, fascinated, and ended up copying them: vodka, grapefruit spritz, and a handful of ice cubes. The clerk rang me up, none the wiser. That night I placed the freshly printed divorce papers, drafted by my lawyer, on the table in front of Adrian. The man was dressed in a white lounge set, every inch the refined, gentle aristocrat. Nothing like the first time I'd seen him. The first time I met Adrian, he was beating someone senseless in the alley behind our school. A cigarette dangled from his lips as he stared down at the guy kneeling at his feet, each blow vicious. Blood smeared across that otherwise pale face, giving him an almost demonic kind of beauty. That was the first time I laid eyes on the person Bella talked about nonstop. Reckless, afraid of nothing, the exact opposite of me. People like Adrian are born on the mountaintop, while I was still down in the grime at the base, one slip away from being swallowed whole. I exhaled, dragging my thoughts back to the present. Adrian kept his gaze fixed on the document. When he looked up, his eyes held confusion and hurt. Is something wrong? I couldn't help asking. Last night, you weren't satisfied? No, that's not it. I'd never expected him to misread me that way, and I had no idea how to explain. Adrian rose and walked to the window. Outside, raindrops were pounding the ground, hard pellets that kicked up veils of mist. His voice was flat. It's been raining all day. I followed his line of sight, unsure what he was getting at. I'm in a bad mood. Let's postpone the divorce. Over the next few days Adrian and I fell into a bizarre tug-of-war. Our WhatsApp thread was still stuck on my reminder to meet me at City Hall and finalize the papers. He never replied to that topic. I tried to stay patient and communicate properly. Me, when you're free, let's talk this out. Adrian, I'm not free. Moments later another bubble popped up. You sleep with me and then run. Serena, am I just a gigolo to you? You heartbreaker, what on earth? I only slept with my lawful husband. How does that make me a heartbreaker? Me, was my technique poor? Is that why you're mad? Fine, I admit I'm inexperienced. This is embarrassing for me. We can practice more, it'll get better. No need for divorce. Only someone with skin that thick could utter such shameless lines. Me, weren't you the one who said I could ask for a divorce whenever I wanted? Silence on his end. A minute later, you talked too much, blocked for half a day. When I sent another message, the screen told me he'd disabled replies. I was still figuring out how to handle Adrian when my assistant burst into my office near tears. Ms. Vance, word is old Mr. Vance is quietly poaching our Starlight deal. They're about to sign with him instead. My blood pressure spiked. Meeting set for today, right? She was hopping from foot to foot. Yes. What do we do? My heart sank. I grabbed my coat. I'm flying to Starlight myself. Tell Quinn to have the contracts ready. If we lose this, none of you need come back to work. As she hurried after me she added, Ms. Vance, Mr. Hawthorne is already on site. Hawthorne Global joined Starlight as a partner, and your father found out before we did. Ms. Vance, could your stepsister's sudden return have something to do with this? She didn't finish, I caught her drift and nodded. Send Quinn to Starlight headquarters. Say the team has Adrian's written authorization and accept whatever terms Starlight proposes. I'll take care of Adrian. I caught the next flight to Starlight City. That evening the hotel ballroom glittered with crystal and champagne. I checked my reflection in the lobby glass, satisfied with the pale gold backless mermaid gown, one Adrian had sent me only days earlier. I hovered at the entrance, scanning the crowd, no sign of him. Just as I turned to leave, my back collided with a solid chest. A cool, woody scent enfolded me, crisp and unmistakable. His voice brushed my ear. Serena? I froze for a second, then, remembering my assistant's warning, I spun and threw myself into his arms. Adrian, I missed you so much. My dramatic gesture bared most of my back, drawing plenty of eyes. Who's that? Looks like Mrs. Hawthorne. Adrian stiffened, wrapped his tuxedo jacket around me, and steered us into a service corridor. Cold marble pressed against my hips, metal flatware clinking from the impact. His gaze was dark. You chased me all the way here just to divorce me? That impatient? Ignoring him, I toyed with his tie while my mind raced. Adrian, I saw you talking to a gorgeous woman, are you cheating on me? He frowned slightly. She's from the partner firm. Of course I knew that, Starlight's VP of Operations, authority to negotiate but not to sign. The real decision maker was already at HQ with my team. I tilted my head. I don't believe you, unless you keep me by your side tonight. Adrian hadn't figured out what I was staging, but my antics wore down his temper. Fine. That night I fluttered on his arm like a happy social butterfly, charming every Starlight representative. My father's people tried several times to cut in, and each time I blocked them. Eventually they retreated to a corner, eyes shadowed as they watched me like hawks. The moment the banquet ended, Adrian hauled me upstairs. The door slammed, plunging us into darkness. His cool fingertips settled on my throat, brushing slowly. Funny, I never knew my wife was such a natural flirt. His low voice, edged by the dark, sounded forbidden and seductive. To hide my agenda, I leaned against him, wine making me bold. I just hate seeing my husband talk to other women. I fought back a shudder at my own syrupy tone. Adrian let out a soft laugh. So you won't give me your heart, yet you're jealous? He set me on the bed, his phone rang, the screen flashing stark white. He answered. Mr. Hawthorne, Starlight's contract has been signed, by your wife's team. Your wife's assistant barged into headquarters claiming full authorization from you. The wall clock ticked, each beat colliding with my pulse. Busted. I hooked my foot around his leg, feigning nonchalance while holding my breath. He hung up, a resigned smile tugging at his lips. I authorized your team for this project? I pillowed my head on his chest, acting entitled. You're my husband, what's yours is mine, right? He pinched my chin, tilting my face for inspection, then chuckled. Quite the little schemer, Mrs. Hawthorne. I patted my wine-warm cheeks, pretending confusion. What? His deep eyes locked onto me. Adrian banked the storm in his gaze, voice mild. Serena, every word tonight, was it all an act? I denied it instantly. I'm not acting, I really. His smile vanished, he closed the distance and bit my lower lip, the kiss rough with leftover anger. When I yelped at the sting, he finally let go, smoothing my tangled hair, voice icy. Keep going, what other lies does my wife have for me? Gulping air, I stared up earnestly. I swear I wasn't acting, don't. A savage rip cut through the room, my gown was torn away at the waist. A ruthless glint flared in Adrian's eyes. Serena, you truly won't cry until you see the coffin. He trapped me against him, fingers threading through mine. His soft laughter ghosted across my ear. Remember what you said tonight. Use me up, then divorce me, and I'll kill you with my own hands. Tonight, Adrian's loss of control had actually sent a strange, sweet ripple of satisfaction through me. Lawfully wedded, why not enjoy the perks while they lasted? My thoughts scattered as a solid weight collided with me from behind. Adrian's lazy drawl drifted over my shoulder. Zoning out? His warm breath fanned across my skin. Instinctively I bit my lip and contradicted him, voice low and mocking. You didn't eat dinner, did you? Adrian froze, as if he couldn't believe his ears. A soft chuckle rolled out, spreading like rings across night water. All right. Silence after that. What followed was fiercer, relentless, edged with savage intent. Just before I passed out, Adrian murmured against my ear, Baby, I've got a short overseas trip. Behave and wait for me. As expected, Edward's counterstrike came fast and brutal. Barely days after we'd clinched the partnership, an anonymous account posted an interview with one of my high school classmates claiming I'd led a bullying scandal against my stepsister Bella in senior year. Dance entertainment was still in Edward's grip. Whipping up this kind of storm was child's play for him. Most netizens don't care about truth, they just feed on the gossip, imagining the evil they insist I committed. Bullies should drop dead, agreed? She's this toxic and Adrian still won't divorce her? Must be real love. Wait, is Adrian being gaslit by this chick? I went to school with her. Rumor had it Serena's mom was mentally unstable. Guess insanity runs in the family. No matter the facts, a rich family bloodletting makes delicious clickbait. I scrolled through thousands of hate-D comments. Occasional voices defending me were deleted almost instantly. The trending tabloid headline refused to be yanked. I knew exactly whose hand was on the pump. My assistant asked cautiously, Serena, what's our move? Nothing for now. The driver arrived. I slid into the back seat. I never bullied anyone, and Edward knows it better than anyone. The truth, Bella was the one cornered that day. Her attackers used my name, claiming they were avenging me by punishing the mistress's daughter. I slapped the ringleader and even came to blows with her. Both of us limped away, parents were summoned. Edward understood every detail. Now, for profit, a father ignores fact and thrusts the knife into his own daughter's back. Adrian hadn't returned from abroad when Victoria came looking. She was a mild woman who hadn't given me trouble after the arranged marriage. Are you all right? She set her teacup down. I nodded. With perfect poise she slid something across the table. I knew the document, divorce papers, only this time drafted by Adrian. I blinked. What does this mean? Victoria spoke evenly. I heard you wanted a divorce before. You must have felt wronged. Sign without worry, the Hawthorne family won't shortchange you. State your terms, We'll settle the rest once Adrian is back. I didn't touch the pen. Adrian agreed to this? Victoria met my gaze, her smile cool. He will. We've already lined up a new match for him, spotless pedigree, sweet, biddable. Perfect for the Hawthorns. And if I refuse? I hear you're digging into some of Edward's dealings. I can help, of course. She nudged the fountain pen closer, voice laced with warning. I can also make sure you find nothing. I pictured Adrian that last night, the look of a man hopelessly in love. When I signed, I was gambling, wondering whether he would defy his family for me, or, just as he had once agreed to marry me, simply bow his head and accept the next bride they chose. The following days I stayed in the townhouse I'd owned before the wedding. Night after night the same nightmare chased me. In the dream my father loomed over me, demanding to know if I admitted my guilt. It was the first time after my mother's death that I'd defied his authority. I held my neck stiff, refusing to bend. To teach me respect, the tyrant had my puppy brought in, the last birthday gift from my late mother Eleanor. Today you'll learn consequences. He smiled cruelly and pointed over the balcony rail. Throw the mutt down. If it lives, throw it again, until it doesn't. I jerked my head up, staring at this demon in disbelief. Terror finally broke me. I dropped to my knees, kowtowing, sobbing apologies, swearing lifelong obedience. But Edward relished the snap of a child's spine. He spared neither me nor my dog. I clutched the limp little body, shrieking. At the dream's end the puppy vanished. The corpse in my arms became my own child self, and I raised a knife and murdered my father. I jolted awake. The bedside lamp cast a warm yellow glow. I was sure I'd turned it off. Faint sounds drifted from the living room. Adrian, supposedly overseas, sat cross-legged on the carpet, absorbed in his laptop. Papers lay strewn around him like fallen leaves. Hearing me, he glanced back and smiled softly. Awake? I pulled a bottle of water from the fridge and soothed my parched throat. What are you doing here? Adrian rose and folded me into his arms. I've come to take you home. Victoria didn't give you the divorce agreement? Without warning he locked me against him. Serena, remember what I told you that night? That fierce, threatening warning? My heart lurched, aching and sour. Adrian said, I told you to wait for me. Bring up divorce again and I'll kill you myself. He swept me up in one motion. The crisp scent of him burned hotter as our temperatures climbed. Panicking, I tried to push him away. He trapped my arms. Admit you're wrong. Pride flared. I lifted my chin. I did nothing wrong. I'm not the one who filed this time. The half-smile vanished. He pinched my chin and crushed his mouth to mine. Fine. If you still don't know what you did wrong, then suffer until you figure it out. Adrian tormented me every way he could. Tears of sheer frustration pooled in my eyes. Furious, I punched him. You bastard. Could you be any gentler? That curse only invited fiercer retaliation. He nipped my earlobe, brushed aside damp strands of hair, and whispered, How about now, Miss Vance? Feel it yet? No, you were wrong? Mortified, I bit his shoulder. At last I had no strength left. Adrian ducked his head into my palm. Say you're sorry. I turned my face away and sobbed, Beg me. Adrian murmured, I'm begging you, say you're sorry. No. I heard a soft sigh beside my ear. I didn't return to the Hawthorn Manor with him, but he didn't push. He simply moved his things into my place. He seemed busier than ever. Meanwhile, my open war with Edward escalated. One afternoon I waited in an out-of-the-way cafe. After about 10 minutes she showed. Sis, do you know how far this is from home? Bella dropped into the seat with a noisy exhale, every trace of her usual fragile daisy act gone. She grabbed my iced Americano, took a swig, and grimaced. Ugh, this is awful. I waved the waitress over and ordered her a chocolate ice cream. Mission accomplished? She grinned, fished a flash drive from her bag, and slid it across. Mom asked me to give you this, evidence she's been quietly gathering. Lately the two of us have put on a good show fighting in front of the old bastard. He's let his guard down with Mom and me. I tucked the drive away and said sincerely, Avery. You and Eleanor have had to put up with so much. Bella dug into her ice cream, waving me off. Come on, sis. Without you, Mom and I would have been eaten alive by that monster ages ago. Plus I've got zero talent for running a company. You take the reins and still send me money. Where else do you get a deal like that? Sis, I'm your devoted minion for life. Her theatrics drew a laugh out of me. Edward would never know that the women he believed were sworn enemies were, in fact, inseparable. Women understand women best. After my late mother Eleanor died, life inside the Vance estate became a minefield. It was Eleanor, Bella's mother, who slipped in again and again to pull me out of the fire. At first I blamed them for my mother's death, and my hostility toward the two of them hit rock bottom. Gradually, though, I realized Bella's mother was simply another victim who'd been lied to. The seed money I used to buy equity in the Vance subsidiary came from Bella's mother. She emptied her entire savings to help me scrape it together. Even knowing the road ahead was treacherous, those two women stood by me without hesitation. After I quietly gained power at Vance, I paid them back in ways they never saw coming. Just before we parted that day, I called Bella over and asked the question that had been eating at me. Bella, if I hadn't told you to run, would you have married Adrian? Do you like him? Bella acted as if I'd sprouted a second head, waving her hands frantically. Sis, what are you talking about? Hasn't your husband confessed yet? You kept bringing him up in front of me. I thought it was because you had a crush on him. I was genuinely puzzled. Not at all. Bella crossed her arms into a huge X in front of her chest and gave a dry laugh. I mentioned him all the time because he bribed me. He paid me to sing his praises in front of you. I was young, the temptation was too much, so I took the deal. He was always fighting at school. Wasn't that because of you? How could it be because of me? He was probably trying to copy you. Your hero saves the beauty complex. Sis, are you seriously telling me you've never once fallen for Adrian? I thought after everything was over I'd step aside and let you two be together, I mumbled. Sis, stop playing matchmaker. If you've got questions, go interrogate your husband yourself. Leave me out of it. With that, Bella scampered off like a startled deer. After entertaining several partners that evening, I stood alone in front of the hotel, letting the night wind hit my face. A black Bentley slid out of the darkness. Adrian stepped out, a snow-white cashmere wrap folded over his arm. The wind's cold. Why stand out here? He stopped in front of me and draped the wrap around my shoulders. When I didn't answer, he asked, "Have you been drinking?" Thinking of my conversation with Bella, I gave him a light shove and teased, "In what capacity is CEO Hawthorne worrying about me? My soon-to-be ex-husband?" At that, he locked an arm around my waist, fingers roaming, and growled, "Serena, you're begging for a very personal lesson. On what grounds? Didn't Victoria line up a spotless, virtuous bride for you?" The words slipped out, sour as unripe grapes. Adrian's dark eyes rested on my face for a second, then he smiled, pinched my chin, and kissed me hard. Remembering we were in public, I flushed and swung at him, only to have him trap both wrists and pin me against the car. "Don't move," he murmured. "You're jealous, why can't I coax you?" When I opened my mouth to curse, he added, "I've already told Mother, I will never divorce you in this lifetime. If they keep targeting you, I'll walk away from the Hawthorne family." I was breathless, but I pretended indifference. "I don't care. I've signed the divorce papers your family sent. Once we file, we're strangers. Why would I need coaxing, and what right do you have to coax me? I love you." The 4 words detonated in my chest, leaving my heart in free fall. In the darkness his gaze was a live coal, scorching everything it touched, a kettle set to boil. I bit my lip, cheeks hot. "Don't you like Bella?" Adrian laughed in exasperation. "You really think I don't know you sisters are in cahoots? Without me playing along, could you have fooled that old fox Edward so fast? Who needs?" He caught my mutter and grinned wider. "Oh? You really don't need me?" That's not what the great Miss Vance sobbed at me when she begged. Shameless, Adrian opened the door and drove me home. Inside the entryway he lingered, eyes unreadable. I glanced back. "Why are you loitering like a statue?" He chuckled low. "Wondering if I'm the first man ever invited inside." I rolled my eyes. "If you can't handle idioms, don't abuse them. Get in." He gave a soft but stayed quiet. I frowned. "Why aren't you?" A sudden sweep of weightlessness cut me off. I yelped as he lifted me onto the dining table. His scorching breath poured over me. Adrian toyed with a strand of my hair. "So test me, Miss Vance. Do my skills qualify for entering the hall?" Before I could speak his mouth crashed over mine. I hooked my arms around his neck, fingers lacing at his nape. "Wife, you brought up divorce again today." "I'm furious." I glared, pulse racing. Knowing when to retreat, he lowered his head, letting me tug his hair. Then tonight I'll administer that lesson, up close and personal. Night deepened. Ripples slid across the aquarium glass. I bit his shoulder, moaning, "Easy." Adrian's voice carried dark honey, dragging me under. "Wife, I don't understand. Why don't you teach me?" Adrian's refusal to divorce met a wall of outrage from his board. At dawn the conference table was already a battlefield. "While you were overseas, Mr. Hawthorne, Miss Vance caused a commotion. For days the scandal has dragged both Vance and Hawthorne stock through the mud. You're the CEO, you can't sacrifice shareholder interests for a woman." Adrian's polite smile never slipped, legs crossed, pen tapping the tabletop. He eyed the loudest dissenter. "Mr. G, since you feel so strongly, you're free to go. I'll buy your shares at market price." "Wait," Mr. Lee interjected, instantly meeker. "Mr. Hawthorne, let's discuss this." "Nothing to discuss." Adrian didn't blink. "Serena is my wife. When I die, we'll be buried together." Facing the still fuming directors, he tossed down his pen and leaned back. "Anyone else unhappy is welcome to leave. Whatever shares you dump, I'll swallow. Hawthorne is my personal domain now, objections will be ignored." Watching the live feed his assistant streamed to me, I almost laughed out loud. His side had been a breeze, mine was a hornet's nest. My dear father led the charge during the morning board meeting. The Vance Group does not need a leader of questionable morals who tarnishes corporate image. Bella jumped up, shielding me. "Dad, enough. That scandal wasn't." I seized a folder and flung it at her, stone-faced. "Save the act, Bella. You're the one who leaked the video, aren't you? What, you thought with me out of the picture the Vance empire would belong to the mistress's daughter?" Bella clutched her reddening forehead, shaking her head through tears. "I didn't." "Silence." Edward roared. "Your own filth, and you tried to drag your sister down? Get out." I smiled coldly and tossed a copy of the Starlight acquisition agreement onto the table. "Gentlemen, Starlight is ours. Vance profits for the next several years are right here. Choose sides, me or Bella, you know the math." Edward's face turned purple, he slammed the table. "Serena, remember, I still hold 30%. This company is not your solitary kingdom." I laughed. "True, you have 30%. Bella has 0. A worthless outsider dares challenge me? Besides, she's not even a shareholder. She has no place in this boardroom, so," I flashed a sweet smile, "I'm calling security to escort her out." As security muscled Bella away she whimpered, "Daddy," to Edward. A few veteran directors rose to speak for her. I arched a brow. "Think carefully, gentlemen. Right now my holdings equal my father Edward's." Uncertainty flickered in their eyes. I braced both hands on the table, locking gazes with Edward, and pronounced every word. "Before the dust settles, I suggest you all keep your heads down. Once I take absolute control, I won't hesitate to throw every last piece of trash out the door." Edward was frantic. His health was declining daily, and he feared I would permanently dilute his power within Vance. So he turned his sights on Bella and her mother again. Eleanor, Bella's mother, still held the 5% of equity Edward had once gifted her to prove his devotion, and those 5% had become his lifeline. He began coaxing her to transfer the shares back to him. Following my script, Eleanor told Edward that, to secure their future in the Vance family, she would sign the equity over to Bella, provided Edward also gave Bella another 5%. That way, mother and daughter could devote themselves to fighting me. Everything unfolded like clockwork. Bella's everyday performance was convincingly weak, no threat at all, so Edward agreed. Within 2 weeks Bella had the shares, and quietly reassigned them to me. As Vance's largest shareholder, I banded with the minor investors and ousted Edward for good. When he panicked and tried to tank the stock price by dumping shares, Adrian helped me buy them all. Another fortnight passed, and my name topped the trending tabloid headlines again. This time it read, "Vance sisters file fraud complaint against father Edward, market manipulation. Tax evasion during tenure." Adrian's research supplied the smoking gun documents. Edward was arrested for financial fraud. The double blow turned his hair white overnight. The day the verdict came down, I visited him in Eastbrook. He looked half dead, poison gleaming in his cloudy eyes. "I should have finished you off back then." I gave a cold laugh. "Just like you did to my mother?" "I don't know what you're talking about. She had mild depression, but you pushed her, deliberately, until she lost her mind. Where's your proof? He shrugged it off. Serena, you think you've won? This is only a financial case. I'll be out soon. Dad, I think you're confused. Softly, smiling, I said, there's no way I'm letting you out. Remember how the puppy died? Time for you to learn, father. I laughed, loud, wild, until tears rolled. I stood and walked out. Behind me Edward screamed that I'd rot in hell, that he should have killed me when I was small. Finally he sobbed and begged, he was still my father, he said. I never turned back. I strode out of the detention center. Late spring wind carried summer's restless heat, rustling the leaves. Dappled sunlight flickered across my face. I lifted my head and silently congratulated myself for escaping fate's dead end. Adrian leaned against the car, smoking. I ran to him. He crushed the cigarette and caught me in his arms. His familiar scent flooded my nose. Adrian. I'm so happy. Adrian, I'm starving. Softly, let's go home, I'll cook. With everything settled, Bella said she wanted to take her mother abroad for a rest. Before they passed through security, Eleanor chattered on. Don't work late, remember to rest. She'd bought a year's supply of the herbal tea I loved, and if the Hawthorne family bullied me she'd fly back at once. My eyes burned, 1,000 tinkling little gratitudes trembled through me. I laid my head on her shoulder and whispered, "Got it, Mom." She jolted, then cradled me, patting my back and murmuring that it was all over now. I'd worked so hard. I burst into tears. Bella stepped in, circling us both. The three of us stood there, eyes red. Unable to bear the emotion, Bella winked. Sis, I'm taking Mom on vacation. Work hard, and keep the wire transfers coming. When I reached the Hawthorne Manor that evening, every light was off. As I wondered where everyone was, Adrian walked toward me carrying a birthday cake blazing with candles. Happy birthday, honey. I froze, dazed. In over 20 years, I'd never celebrated. Yet Adrian remembered. I studied the decoration, a princess topper toddlers adore. Clutching the cake, I pointed. What made you pick this design? Adrian looked sheepish. I bought the same one for my niece's party. Not cute? It's marketed to 6-year-olds. He cleared his throat. Forget it, then. A moment later, slightly aggrieved, he added, honestly, I thought it was the prettiest option. Of course, he was throwing a party for little Serena too. I made a wish and blew out the flames. I don't hate it. Next year add a banner, longevity.prosperity, something grown up. His lips curved tenderly. Deal. Adrian dislikes sweets, but he sat beside me while I sliced the cake and let me feed him. One bite for him, one for me. Mid-cake, couriered boxes of fine jewelry arrived. Touched, I said, shouldn't I give you something too? He produced another gift. Already picked it. Puzzled, I opened the box, soft fabric lay inside. I shot him a look and turned to leave. He chuckled. Honey, reward my thoughtfulness, okay? My heart skipped. He trapped my hand against his chest, skin hot beneath my fingertips. I covered his eyes and kissed him. Sweating, breathing fire, he whispered, honey, let me look at you. I pinned his wandering hands. Adrian, how long have you loved me? A long time. How long? Can't recall, maybe from the second we met. While I hesitated, he tore off the blindfold and flipped us over. God, you're gorgeous in this. Flustered, I hissed, who said you could? Punish me, then. He bent to kiss me. Scold me, baby, pervert. He murmured indecent things against my ear. I blushed crimson. Adrian, you're shameless. My feeble scolding only made him laugh. In the lush night, the clear wind carried his low, fond voice across the endless dark. Serena, I will forever choose you. You are the last rose upon my barren land. Thank you for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed the video, please like and share with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more wonderful stories. See you next time.